Integrated air and missile defense is one of the few military missions where physics, software, and politics all collide in the same 30 seconds. A radar picks up a launch. A track is formed. A trajectory is calculated. An interceptor is assigned. And a fire order is issued, a chain of decisions that unfolds in seconds. If any one of these steps fails, a city may disappear. Modern warfare has created weapons that fly too fast, too low, and too unpredictably for traditional defenses to handle. Ballistic missiles dive from space. Cruise missiles hug the ground, drones swarm, hypersonic glide vehicles skip along the edge of the atmosphere. The only way to survive that threat environment is not a single missile or radar, but an integrated, layered, adaptive system. That's what Integrated Air and Missile Defense, or IAMD, really is. During the Cold War, air defense and missile defense were two separate professions. One set of radars and missiles hunted aircraft. Another small, specialized community tracked ballistic missiles in space. That division no longer works. A modern hypersonic glide vehicle may fly higher than a cruise missile, lower than a ballistic missile, and maneuver like neither. A drone may act as a decoy for a ballistic strike. A cruise missile may carry a nuclear or conventional payload. Every incoming object now has to be treated as part of the same problem. Modern IAMD is built around three principles. No single interceptor can handle everything. Short-range missiles handle drones and rockets. Medium-range systems handle aircraft and cruise missiles. Upper-tier interceptors deal with ballistic and hypersonic threats. The goal is overlapping engagement windows so that if one layer fails, another can try. Second, integration. The radar that sees the threat does not have to be the launcher that shoots it. Tracks are shared across networks. A ship can guide a missile fired from land. A land radar can cue a naval interceptor. This is called any sensor best shooter. Threats change faster than hardware can be replaced. The system must be able to add new sensors, new interceptors, and new software without rebuilding from scratch. Every major power builds its own version of this ecosystem. The differences reflect geography, doctrine, and how each country expects to fight its wars. The US approach to IAMD is defined by scale and reach. America must defend forward bases, allied territory, carrier strike groups, and the homeland itself. No other nation tries to cover so much space with one defensive architecture. That forces the US to build not a single shield, but a distributed network of shields that can link together. Patriot is the most familiar piece of US air and missile defense. It started as a Cold War anti-aircraft system. Today, with PAC-3 MSE interceptors, it is one of the world's most proven short-range ballistic missile defenses. PAC-3 does not explode near a target. It hits it directly. The interceptor uses its own radar and small thrusters to guide itself into a collision with an incoming warhead at several kilometers per second. Patriot has been used in real combat against ballistic missiles in Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Ukraine. It is the last line of defense around bases, cities, and deployed forces. Above Patriot sits THAAD, Thermal High Altitude Area Defense. THAAD is designed to intercept short and medium-range ballistic missiles at the top of their flight, in the upper atmosphere or just beyond it. By engaging earlier and higher than Patriot, THAAD gives defenders a second chance to kill a missile before it reaches its terminal dive. A single THAAD battery can protect an area hundreds of kilometers wide. That is why they are deployed to Guam, South Korea, and the Middle East, places where US forces sit within reach of regional missile arsenals. At sea, the Aegis combat system turns US cruisers and destroyers into mobile IAMD platforms. With SM-3 interceptors, Aegis ships can destroy ballistic missiles in space during their mid-course phase. With SM-6, they can also engage aircraft, cruise missiles, and even hypersonic targets in the upper atmosphere. This means the US can move missile defense coverage across oceans. A ship off Japan contributes to the defense of Japan and the US homeland. A ship in the Mediterranean contributes to the defense of Europe. What makes all this work together is the Army's Integrated Air and Missile Defense Battle Command System, IBCS. IBCS fuses data from multiple radars and assigns interceptors based on geometry, probability of kill, and available missiles. In tests, Patriot launchers have fired using tracks from THAAD radars. This kind of cross-system engagement is the future of air and missile defense. Instead of separate Patriot fights and THAAD fights, there is just one air picture and one set of fire decisions. The US is now trying to extend that logic to the continental homeland. The proposed Golden Dome architecture envisions space-based sensors and interceptors combined with multiple terrestrial interceptor layers to defend the United States, Alaska, and Hawaii against ballistic and hypersonic threats. It is controversial, expensive, and still evolving, but it reflects the same philosophy. Layer everything, integrate everything, and let software decide how best to shoot. Russia's IAMD looks very different. Moscow does not try to defend the globe. It tries to make specific regions nearly impossible to attack. This produces dense, overlapping belts of surface-to-air missiles around places like Moscow, Kaliningrad, Crimea, and key military districts. The backbone of Russian air and missile defense is the S-300 family and its successors. S-400 adds longer-range missiles, better radars, and improved capability against ballistic and cruise missiles. It can fire different missiles for different ranges and targets, all from the same launcher. S-500 is meant to add an upper-tier layer, engaging intermediate-range ballistic missiles, some ICBM-class threats, and possibly satellites. Together, they form a stacked defense from low altitude to near space. Long-range SAMs are valuable, which makes them targets. So, Russia surrounds them with point defense systems like Pantsir and Tor. These short-range weapons are designed to shoot down cruise missiles, drones, and precision-guided munitions before they can kill the big radars and launchers. The goal is a self-protecting air defense fortress. The war in Ukraine has shown both sides of this model. When properly integrated, Russian SAMs can be lethal. When isolated, jammed, or overwhelmed by saturation, they are vulnerable. But in sheer density, the number of missiles, radars, and layers, Russia fields one of the deepest IADS environments on Earth. China's IAMD is built around one strategic objective: denying the United States freedom of action in the Western Pacific. That requires two things. First, protecting China's own command centers, air bases, and missile forces. Second, denying US aircraft and ships access to the region, comparable in role to S-300 and S-400. It defends airspace against aircraft, cruise missiles, and some ballistic threats. It is deployed around key sites and along the coast. Above that sits HQ-19, a halt-to-kill interceptor designed to destroy medium-range ballistic missiles and hypersonic glide vehicles in the upper atmosphere and near space. Chinese sources also describe HQ-19 as an anti-satellite weapon capable of attacking low-orbit spacecraft. This makes it not just a defensive system, but part of China's counter-space posture. By shielding its own missile forces with HQ-9 and HQ-19, China ensures that its long-range anti-ship and anti-base missiles can operate under a protective umbrella. The defense enables the offense. Israel's IAMD is unique not because of its scale, but because of intensity. It operates under constant attack. Rockets, drones, cruise missiles, and low ballistic missiles from Iran. So its layered defense is tested in real war, not exercises. Iron Dome is the first layer. It intercepts short-range rockets, artillery, and some drones. It uses radar and trajectory prediction to decide which incoming threats are worth intercepting. This keeps costs manageable while stopping the most dangerous salvos. David's Sling fills the middle gap, engaging longer-range rockets and cruise missiles that are too powerful for Iron Dome, but not high enough for Arrow. Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 are Israel's ballistic missile defenses. Arrow 3 intercepts targets in space. It has already been used operationally against real ballistic missiles. The newest layer is a laser. Iron Beam uses directed energy to kill drones and rockets at very low cost per shot. It is designed to handle the economic side of defense, shooting down cheap threats without firing expensive missiles. During Iran's massive strike in 2024-25, Israel used all these layers, plus US assets, to intercept roughly 99% of over 300 incoming drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles. It was one of the first true demonstrations of modern, integrated multi-layer missile defense in a real war. Across all four countries, the same trends are emerging. Space-based sensors are becoming essential to track hypersonic and ballistic threats from launch to impact. AI-assisted command systems are being built to sort targets, fuse sensors, and assign interceptors faster than humans can. Directed energy weapons are entering service to handle the lower tiers. Drones, rockets, and eventually cruise missiles, at scale. In this future, the most important question will not be whose missile is fastest. It will be whose network sees first, decides fastest, and coordinates best. Because integrated air and missile defense is no longer just about stopping missiles. It is about controlling the sky in an age when everything that flies might be a weapon. And in that fight, integration is the real high ground. And that brings us to the end of our look into the world of integrated air and missile defense, the invisible architecture that stands between modern cities and modern warfare. From America's globally integrated Patriot, THAAD, and Aegis systems, to Russia's fortress-style SAM belts, to China's layered shields built around its Pacific ambitions, and Israel's battle-tested multi-tier defenses, this is the new front line of power. Not in the air, but in the decisions made before anything ever reaches it. But now it's your turn. If you've worked with air defense systems, studied them, or seen them operate in the real world, tell us in the comments. Which approach do you think is truly winning this race? The global network, the continental fortress, the A2AD shield, or the compact, combat-tested model? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the systems that guard the sky, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next one.